shows 7 o'clock. Are we ready to come to order?
Arnold, absent. Beckwith,
Here.
Palcapisi. Here. Flores, absent. Cotsinis,
Here.
Hamilton.
Here.
Sutton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Warren Newport Public Library District provides the community with access to information, kindles the imagination of children and adults, and supports lifelong learning. Public comment. Do we have anyone that wants to speak? All right. We've got consent agenda, 3 items on it. Anyone want to remove anything? We've got one more person coming. Hello. 7-0, close. All right. Does anyone want to remove anything from the consent agenda? If not, do we have a motion?
I move to accept the consent, I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. President's reports on page 6. Does anyone else have a report today?
I have a report.
Wonderful.
Wendy and I met with Doug Whiteberg and we walked through the expenditure cycle with Doug and learned a lot, right? Wendy?
Yes, it certainly did.
Things are in good hands.
Anyone else? Executive Director's report, page 7.
Yeah, I think the big thing I'll point out, well, a couple of things. So first of all, summer reading program, we're about halfway to the goal. I think we're at 700,000 minutes, so we're running out of time. So if you got minutes to put them in. If you can listen to audiobooks in the car or reading, please put in the minutes. Yeah, I think, we're just busy with a lot of projects of summer reading, and really a big focus on CCS. The staff have started to train on the new ILS for CCS this week, and that's right around the corner before you know it. That's the Wednesday after Labor Day. I think that's September 6th. So we'll be going live. So it's a big deal. So.
Are there any questions?
I wasn't sure what you meant by the communications team accepted 89 requests.
Yeah, so what
I was
this,
just curious.
no, it's a good question. So what it is that staff, if they want a flyer printed for an event or some work done for a program, they submit a request to the communications team. And then based on the request, they will produce whatever depending on the request. So that's what that is. It's the communications team has been busy. I think requests have gone up since since 2018, really since the pandemic. So we're busy. I mean, if you think about it, we've with all the the programming team's put together a lot of programming, and we've introduced programs for our mobile services department. So we're busy.
Yeah. Brian, I had a question about the separation of the full-time mobile services programming specialist.
Yes.
Is that person going to be replaced, or how's that person?
We
What's going on?
have replaced the person. Yes.
Okay.
We hope to begin on the 30th, I believe.
Awesome. That just made me nervous when I saw mobile services. Oh.
Yeah.
We have also had an open position for a number of time, and that position is also hoping to start that same day.
Good. Oh, good. All right. In mobile services.
in mobile
Yeah.
services.
Good.
And then for communication engagement, I was just curious, I saw Brad Schneider's office listed and Raising Cane's. So I didn't know if you guys had more specifics or if that would be a question for Maria. I was just like, oh, are we getting food? What's this partnership?
Oh, in terms
I
of
just
the-
figured the other ones were tabling,
I-
but.
Do you know more details?
That's
Because
for
I
the
know.
back to school event.
Right, yeah.
So she's securing partners for, a variety of things. Some people, I don't know specifically what Raising Cane's is doing, but some people are donating for supplies for the backpacks.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that we're having any sort of food
Yeah.
involved in this particular one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Marie's doing an amazing job with getting participation.
Look at all that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and admin, their box is labeled Raising Cane, so I'm assuming those are gift certificates or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was,
Yeah.
gift certificates, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a minor facilities question.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody else noticed it as you're walking into the library from the parking lot. Looks like something took a small chunk out of the ceiling above there.
In the entrance?
Not at the end, not at the entrance, but towards the parking lot if you go to the extreme right of the door.
Oh.
One
on
of
the
those
side?
panels, yeah, one of the panels looks damaged. I just noticed it as I was walking in today.
Oh.
All right.
Looks almost like a squirrel.
All right, maybe on the way after you can point it out to me and I'll put in a ticket for it. Thank you.
We don't need squirrels in here. No, no.
Yikes.
Anyone else?
So I was curious about what that Ask the Dill Pickle program is.
Yeah, so
Sounds fun, but what-
do you know Dill Pickle is kind of one of our unofficial mascots. If you go to youth services, it's that for lack of words, the thing that
Frog
kids sit on.
toad,
Whatever, I don't know
yeah.
what
Whatever
it
it
is.
is,
Like,
yeah.
like kind of like a
It's like
horse,
a-
whatever it is, like
Yeah.
a horse.
Yes, got it.
A horse or a toad?
Yeah.
It's a funny looking thing, I agree.
And so a staff member or staff members decided that we would just ask Dill Pickle program, and it's really cute. I don't have any examples of questions,
Oh my
but
gosh,
it's but
I
they've
probably
been.
could pull up some. So, yeah, they have a passive program throughout the whole summer where there's a table and there's a little form that they can fill out.
Okay.
And then the librarians answer
Oh,
as they'll pick up.
great.
So, like, what's your favorite book, where do you wanna go on vacation, and then they'll pickling. So
Very
it's
cute.
super cute.
Yeah.
And if you ever go to youth services and they have the estimation jar, if you pick it up and look at it, because they always do something interesting, like a little like Easter egg, so to speak. So if you go now, there's like it's fish, so there's Swedish fish and there's other kinds of candied fish. But if you turn around, there's like a can of tuna in there as well. So there's always some little Easter eggs. So check those out. It's fun.
That's cute. Okay. I just got it was cute. Yeah, I know, it's cute. Anyway.
All right, anything else? Not moving on to old business, building systems update.
Yeah, so I think in your board packet on pages 18 and 18 is a pretty good summary of where we're at with the project. And the big thing, I'm happy to answer any questions, but the big thing I want the board to discuss tonight is the timing, because as you can see, it's changed. So there's potential to start right after Thanksgiving and expected completion December 13th. Which, obviously that time of year, you never know. Like, we could get some blizzards and that could throw that timeline off, but it would be, from talking amongst the staff and looking at our numbers, we're busier in the springtime when it was scheduled to be than that time of year. Not that there's ever a good time to close. And we have started to talk about what we would do when we're closed in terms of, we've got the mobile services team out, the bookmobile will be doing community stops. We'll see what we can do, whether it's having programs externally in the community, whether we can set up a pop-up library someplace. But first of all, we need to make a decision on what's the right time frame.
Time, yeah.
No, you made a notation that it will be closed during finals preparation, which really just disturbs me because there are some children who can't study at home because the home life is too not calm. And to close, they can't really study at a pop-up place. So that, I find that very difficult to close the library during that time, because it could really affect someone's grades. And what college they get into, and,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just a minor inconvenience to some people.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a downside, and that's something that the board will have to factor in when making the decision. We don't have to do the phase 2 that timeframe. Amber can take delivery of the units whenever they're ready and store them, so that's an option as well. So it could be the springtime still. It doesn't have to be this date.
Do we pay for storage then?
I
Good question.
don't think so, but I would double check before we make a final decision.
And when is do we know when finals are?
It's on a calendar somewhere.
Yeah, I looked, and
I just wondered how
I-
close it would be.
it is very close,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. I think if this project went without a hitch, I think we'd be okay. But I think if it does not, then
Yeah, most-
it's going to bleed into it. So
The other thing that we did talk about is talking to the village about potentially, working with them. They've worked with us when they had some flooding issues and so on, so that could be a potential as well. If this time frame works really well, they're so close to the high school and to us,
Yeah.
that could be a possibility. I mean, we can at least
That's
reach out
a
to
great
them.
idea.
Well-
Either at the village hall, or
Mhm.
doesn't the police department also have a meeting room?
They
or-
do.
and the resource we do have is we have staff. So we could
Absolutely.
deploy staff, like say
Oh.
the school was like, well, we'll keep it open if you leave your staff here, we could have our security team over there. So that's a possibility,
Yeah,
if we
or
can find a
youth
location.
services, too,
Yeah,
because
youth
they're gonna be
services, yeah,
displaced, for sure.
yeah, so,
And I'm sure students would feel more comfortable with the staff they know
Mhm.
than police people.
sure,
I
sure.
mean, who can study around police? Not me.
Okay, that's not a bad idea though. Good to know.
Any other questions on the building systems?
So do we want to get some questions answered between now and August committee of the whole before we make a decision? I mean, I don't think this requires a board vote, but I want the board to have a consensus with it, so we could let them know, we first of all find out, if we decide to delay it to the spring, do we have to pay for storage? And then we could hopefully get some answers from our partners, whether we could borrow their space during that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would,
So, okay,
That
so
would
let's
be
come
good.
back in a couple of weeks then and get those two questions answered.
All right, moving on, signing options, updates there.
Yeah, so we do have a kind of an informal quote, which I believe lines up with what we budgeted for this project in the budget. And I say informal because they have not been on site, but it would be a little over $1,200 to do those vinyl window clings. But we need them to come out and see if that's, to look at it with the division and how this project's actually going to work. So right now, Eric Sluga, who's in our communications department, who's kind of taken the point for this project, he's busy on the inside angle. When he's done with that, he'll have more bandwidth to focus on this. So that's an update. So we're moving along. So we can certainly do it. We just need to get more details worked out with the vendor to see if that quote fits the job when they see the building and how it's going to work.
Any questions? Okay, strategic plan, page 22.
So as I said in the memo, there's no doubt that Appendix A still needs some massaging in terms of formatting and maybe there's some grammatical errors, but I wanted to make sure that the board had a chance to look at this, at least the meat of the plan, and hopefully the board will be amicable to approving it with knowing that we're gonna continue to work on it and not really release Appendix A so much to the public. That's more for internal usage. I mean, we certainly can have it on the website, have it publicly available, but in terms of pretty stuff we want to push out there, that would not be that Appendix A, is my thinking. So I'll wonder what the board thinks at this point. If you want to see more work done with this before it's approved, or what your thoughts are.
There were a couple of dates that looked a little wonky. A1, the first goal, it's start winter 2024 and end fall 2024.
So January of 2024 in the fall?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So when I created, I don't think I put it in here, but I created a spreadsheet to kind of map this out. And winter for me is January through March, and then fall is October, November,
Oh,
December.
okay.
So
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
so basically it would be the calendar year 2024.
Okay, and then E4 must be the same thing. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't able to email you, sorry. So for the first one,
Yeah.
for A, is this task force gonna be different from the task force that Maria Nava oversees?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. This is specifically for the website. Yeah.
And then for C, I was just curious, businesses for the mobile service, like, have you
Which
guys
one are you
partnered
on
with?
now?
C, and that 32, page 32.
Okay.
I think where we mean businesses, we're referring to locations, meaning, let's say we went into, we had talked about, along the border with Waukegan, stopping at some locations, and one of the places we talked about was Lewis Market, for example, because we know a lot of our patrons shop there, and that's in the Waukegan Public Library, area.
Yeah.
So what if we approach Lewis Market, see if we can jointly serve there? That's an example of that.
We ran into that same kind of thing with Wildwood, because there's not that many places like parks. So it would be probably reaching out to a business there as well.
And then I think, I just saw a lot of different committees, like, being made that staff will be attending, so I assume you have your master list of who's attending, but like, obviously this is added on to what they're doing, so I trust that you and staff have talked that through, but that
Yeah.
seemed like a lot of committees.
No, it's a good.
I was
it's
like,
a-
whoa.
Celeste, I'm glad you brought that up because we have been moving towards the committee structure now since the fall of last year, and most of these committees have been established and are working. And the idea behind that is that we had the realization that it was really a few of us that were chairing committees. I think Rebecca said to me early on, like, Ryan, you're chairing every committee. This isn't sustainable. This doesn't work. Nor can Rebecca and I just split up all the committees and both chair them. We need to basically allocate our resources, delegate authority, also give some staff opportunity to step up to leadership positions. So this is a work in progress. So this is actually, I think, as we transition to this, there is a little bit more work involved, but ultimately, we think it's gonna help. So, do you want to add anything? Or?
I think it allows us to get to a lot more of the initiatives that we want to touch on, because at one point we were like, well, we're only reaching priority 1 all the time, but eventually we need to get to priorities that are a little bit lower on the list, and this allows us to really do all of those things. So it is some staff commitment and some time, so we've had to shift desk schedules a little bit. And it's a process, but I think we're getting quite a bit done.
Yeah, I mean, and you can think about that. Some of the, I think goals the board has had for me, like I think about the work smarter, not harder, the staff recognition. That's been a goal for a couple of years, and it seems like that something always rises to the priority list where it's like, okay, I have to focus on this. Meanwhile, there's nobody to keep that ball going. But now we have recruitment and retention. And although there's all these other things going on, we've been moving along. We're about to ready to launch that survey to get feedback from staff. So I think there are plenty of examples where this has been effective, where we're continuing to move forward on projects, even when my focus has to be somewhere else, or Rebecca's focus has to be somewhere else.
And other people are often very excited to do it.
Yes.
Not that you're not excited, but
But maybe has a little bit more bandwidth because it's
bandwidth and,
Ownership of.
stepping up to do something that the boss would have done.
Well, I think as I think the board knows, we have really talented staff, and I think sometimes we always haven't given the talented staff the opportunity to do these things, and no, but it also goes into staff satisfaction, right? If people are at work and they're talented and they're not getting opportunities, they're gonna look for their opportunities where they can,
Right.
exhibit their talent. So there's a lot of advantages to this.
That's a good idea.
So I had a question on page 38.
Mhm.
Looking at the study rooms versus meeting rooms definition. So I assume when you're talking about an access control technology, you're talking about something like a red light, green light sign that flashes, or are you talking about actually having those rooms able to lock?
Yeah, so that we are talking about having those rooms able to lock. Communico, as you know, is our vendor for the events calendar, the app. They have these access devices that works with Communico. So that's what we're looking into. That's what we're referring to here.
It would actually give people more access though. It doesn't sound like it from this, but we could put the reserve software on the website and people could go ahead, see what's available, put in, the request, and then they would get a code if it was available to them. They could walk up to the door, put in their code if it's the correct one, and then they have access to the room.
Yeah, it's really cool. We saw it at ALA, the software to do it. It's super simple. So someone has their phone, don't even have internet, staff just come in, boom, they got their room. So
And the staff doesn't have to go there.
Okay.
doesn't mean that people can't go to the desk and get
Oh, of
access to the room. It just gives people
Yeah.
more options.
I'm just thinking of other technologies I've seen where rooms can be scheduled very easily, but they don't lock. You just still rely on the room being open. But the sign tells you if it's occupied or not.
Yeah. I mean, you could, so the great thing about the software to book a room is that we're already paying for it.
Okay.
It's part of the package, so it's not it's an additional expense. Now, I think these would cost something if we were to install them. But I don't think you don't have to have these installed to use the software. I mean, we could still do it without that, but
Okay.
we think it would make the life of staff easier.
Yeah.
So, but it's something we'll discuss. And
The other question I have, the rebranding of rooms 3 and 6. Would that mean we'd have the same restrictions on those that we currently have on meeting rooms where people would only be able to reserve them a certain number of times per month? Because
We would have to
doesn't seem
revisit the meeting
productive.
room policy, but we think that there should be some restrictions in there if we're putting in some more of these expensive technology tools that we've been researching. So it would be something the board would want to revisit.
I still think we should have them at least more accessible than the large meeting rooms are.
yeah, and it's to be determined. The board wants to do.
Any other comments, questions? Is everyone comfortable with this plan as it's written? If so, can we get a motion?
I move that the board approve the strategic plan 2023-2025 as presented.
I'll second that.
Let's do a roll call for this one.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Arnold, absent. Hamilton,
Aye.
Flores,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Kotsinis.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right. Semi-annual review of closed session minutes. Page 51. Any questions? If none, can we get a motion?
I move that the board approve the semi-annual review of closed executive session minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, moving on to new business, page 52, secretary's report, minutes of regular meeting. And let's see, why did this one end up in new business?
'Cause
I
was
think because
absent.
Celeste and I were absent.
Thank you. All right, can we get a motion for this one?
I move that the board approve the minutes of regular meeting June 20th, 2023 as presented.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Sutton,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Abstain.
Flores,
Abstain.
Arnold, absent, Cotsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it.
All right, monthly financial statements, page 57.
So we are 11/12 of the year through, 92%, 8% more to go, 8.33. I see that we've got 62,000 in the PMA cash account, in the Illinois Funds Money Market account, 3,610,000. I happened to be on the phone with Wintrust this morning. They have for 1 year, a money market for new money that pays 4%. I'm happy to give a contact to move some money. Did you hear what I, 4%?
4% is, yeah,
4%, that's like double what we're getting.
is that?
Yeah, I don't know what today's numbers are compared to what's in the report, but we can certainly,
So there's a
Look into
limit
our
of like
options.
$3 million, but,
Yeah.
and it's a money market, so you can take it out anytime you want to, it's not a CD.
no, let's look into it.
I was
You
stunned,
take it, yeah.
I was asking for work purposes, but happy to spread the good news around. I did not have any questions on the financials, did you?
Just one, and it probably just background. So if we're 91% of the way through the year, the revenue received is 104%?
Because mostly we get it with the taxes.
Okay, so it's timing, basically. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else have any other questions, comments? Okay, I would like to make a motion to accept the year-to-date May 31st, 2023 financial statements as presented.
I'll second.
All right, let's get a roll call for this one.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Flores,
Aye.
Beckwith, Arnold, absent, Cotsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it.
All right, that puts us to item C. Oh, sorry, yes.
Ordinance.
Ordinance 2023-2024-1, building and maintenance tax, page 121.
So, yeah, page 121, there's the memo that explains the next two ordinances, this one and then the following one. These are something that we, pass every year. Any questions about that? So this one is the levy for building sites and maintenance, and as I said in the memo, it goes towards, building expenditures, utilities, maintenance equipment, that type of stuff.
All right. Does anyone want to make the motion?
I move that the ordinance 2023-2024-1, building and maintenance tax be approved as presented.
I'll second. Let's get a roll call for this one.
Flores,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Arnold, absent, Cotsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it.
All right, then moving on to ordinance 2023-2024-2, non-resident library card program. Any questions here?
Yeah, this one can be confusing because you read it and you would think, well, why wouldn't we want to participate? Or why shouldn't we at least discuss it? Well, it doesn't really apply to us because we're not the closest library districts to non-served areas in Illinois. So even those in Newport Township that are unserved, that don't have library cards, their closest library district would be Zion-Benton. So thus, it's not even a choice the board has, but you have to adopt the ordinance, it's the law. So it's kind of silly, but here we are.
Pro forma, but we've got
Yes.
to do it.
So Ryan, I just have a question. Is there a reason, is there a reason not to sign off on this? what's the downside if we never, I mean, what?
I mean,
What's
it
the
doesn't
worst?
apply to anybody, but I guess you could say yes.
I'm just curious, if there's no
We'd have to
negatives,
we'd have to
there's no-
redo reread the ordinance again for one, but.
Oh, no,
but,
no, we don't need to do that, I'm just curious, I'm just
Yeah.
like, what's the
So
harm
do
in
we
it,
not
you
get
know?
a grant or something? Is that what
No,
No, it
we'd
doesn't
have to
affect
go to the
that.
map, and if we go to the map
Yeah.
is complicated, but
Yeah.
That's okay, just thought I'd ask.
even
if
though
there was a
we're
negative.
required by law to revisit this every year.
I know.
There's no point in revisiting it unless we physically pick up and move the library.
Right,
Right.
okay.
That sounds like a fun project.
Don't think that.
Next year.
All right, I will move that we adopt ordinance 2023-2024-2 non-resident library card program as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Arnold absent, Beckwith,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Flores,
Aye.
Gotzinis.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, and that takes us to ordinance 2023-2024-3, tentative budget appropriation.
Yeah, so this, we're gonna sort of kick off our, well, really, we did with ordinance 2023-2024-1, but this is the next big one in terms of the road to, you know, the board has established a budget, and now we're going to, this is the tentative budget appropriation ordinance, which basically tells the taxpayers, you know, what we intend to do in terms of the board intends to do in terms of the budget. That's gonna lead us to the adoption of the actual V&A ordinance, and then we will do the tax levy. There will be a truth in taxation hearing this year, it's anticipated, because of that's explained in the CPA, yeah. So it's, once again, we have the second odd year in a row in the history of PTEL in Illinois. We've never seen it like this, but, yeah. So any questions? I mean, what you see here is reflective of the budget the board passed, and, you know, the appropriations, we can't levy from where we appropriate, and, you know, we appropriate enough to make sure that we cover any unexpected expenditures as we see every year. Sometimes things go over. We might go over on, I always use snow removal as an example, because that's one that's pretty variable, or utilities, maybe the cost goes up. So that's why you appropriate more than you budget. If we didn't appropriate enough, the board could come back and they could pass, I believe it's a resolution to appropriate more in those funds, but typically we like to avoid doing that, so.
All right, does anyone want to make the motion? I'll go ahead and do it. I move that ordinance 2023-2024-3, tentative budget and appropriation for fiscal year 23-24 be approved as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Flores,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Arnold absent, Gotzinis.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And the last part of this, setting the public hearing. Tuesday, September 19th at 6:45. Is everyone okay with that time and date?
Yes.
Yeah. Has everyone here been part of the public hearing? So the idea behind the public hearing, it's that we will publish the B&A the board intends to adopt, and then the public can come in and they can give feedback to the board, essentially. Very transparent process.
During my
Effectively, we
tenure,
sit
no
here.
one has yet to show up.
Yeah, I know, I was just gonna say, no.
All right. I move that the public hearing for the annual budget and appropriation be set for Tuesday, September 19th, 2023 at 6:45 PM.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, okay. Setting G, annual audit. Secretary's meeting minutes, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So the IPLAR, this is essentially the statistical report that we submit to the state, and as part of that, this annual audit is required for our IPLAR report, and the board will set, I think it's the August meeting to adopt the IPLAR?
Yes.
Yes, so typically, or historically, what has been done is there have been trustees have stayed after this meeting to do this audit. But I don't think it's required, but since everyone's here, so.
Yeah. It just take like 15 minutes. And they are ready.
So.
Okay. Who wants to stay? I'll stay. Is anyone else gonna stay with me?
Today?
Yes.
Oh, I can stay.
Alright, do we need to take any action, or are we good?
No. No, just, you have to appoint, but they volunteer.
You volunteered, we're good. Alright. Moving to H. Approval of board policy 3013 library card.
Okay,
H.
I have a couple of things on this one, on page 142. Article 5, it says section 6.03 and it should be 5.04. I'll fix it to finalize it, but that's a mistake. And there's also extra spaces between Article 7 and 8, which I'll take out to finalize it. Anybody else have anything else on this one?
What was the one, 6, I'm sorry, I missed what you were saying. Oh,
Okay,
up
so
there,
this is
5.
Article 5, and this one
Ah.
says 6.03,
Got it.
but it should be 5.
application.
5.04.
Have we had patrons have issues with those? Because I didn't know if, I know the Secretary of State is gonna be accepting passports from other countries.
Yeah, I know, have we had issues? I think we do often have issues, yeah.
Issues with what?
In
I'm
terms
sorry,
of
didn't hear that.
photo identification for patrons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we revitalized this policy, because we're trying to reduce the barriers to people getting library cards. Yeah, so that's why a lot of these changes have been made. Rebecca worked pretty extensively with Kathy. Do you want to talk about any?
Kathy Soakley, yeah, she feels very strongly that we want to try to eliminate the barriers, but still keep within, what we need to do, obviously, to make this a proper policy. So we also put in the temporary library card, which is something we've never had before.
I was gonna ask about that, because
Mhm.
I didn't remember that before, yeah.
And that's really, so we've had some temporary, but this is limited use. So basically, if you come to the desk and you can't provide proof of residency for whatever reason, we can provide these limited use cards that, if you can then provide further information, you can transfer that to a traditional library card at any time. Otherwise, it'll be on a 90 days, and it would be reviewed on a case-by-case basis for the
Do
circulation.
they have the same full privileges, unlimited checkout? and
No, so it would be limited to 5 print items.
Are those limited in value? or-
No.
So they could take out $200 copy paper book, or a
Potentially.
telescope, or,
No, it's no item that isn't a print material, so it's none of the telescopes, none of the tablets, none of the, the
No
tech
video
items,
games, DVDs,
library
anything like that,
things.
no.
Mhm.
I had a question about folks who are experiencing homelessness.
Mhm.
How do we deal with that?
So that really was initially, we were gonna put that one in place with that wording,
Okay.
but we didn't want to eliminate other people that may not be able to provide proof of residency, so we took that language
Okay.
out of it. But it was really, that was the intent
Okay.
with that particular
Okay, good.
language.
I just wanted-
so how do we, with these temporary cards, how do we ensure that we'll get paid in the event that they don't return material?
So the limitation of the 5 print items is something that we went back and forth with. We looked at a lot of other library policies, and we feel that the relationships that we can build within the community outweighs the fact that we may lose some materials, but we're trying to mitigate that by putting those restrictions on. We're not saying that we're gonna lose those materials
No.
at all, but if we can't recover some of those things, we've tried to eliminate,
Well, even if you're a
trust.
library card user,
Mhm.
you're not always gonna get those materials back, so
Right.
it doesn't matter if you have one or not.
Can we put this on a shorter review schedule than, I don't know, if it's every 3 years, can we look at it in 1 year I mean, I don't expect that there'll be a problem, but I don't wanna wait 3 years from now and then say, oh, we did have a problem.
Mhm.
So could we
Well,
move
staff
that up,
would know, I think,
policy?
maybe.
Sure.
Staff will know, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they would know.
sure.
Yeah.
I have a question. Is
Mhm.
there a reason we chose to remove, well, two things that used to be considered acceptable ID, which are not on here anymore? You still have bank statement, but credit card statement is no longer listed. And neither is canceled mail with current postmark.
So we were just trying to consolidate things a little bit. So none of these are expected to be an exhaustive list. So these are all examples, but they're not limited to. So often, the staff at the circulation desk is getting all sorts of things, and it's a judgment call. So basically, this is just giving people kind of an example of the type of information that they're looking for. So we wouldn't certainly not allow those things anymore, George.
So I think that addresses Celeste's point, coming back to it, I wanted to come back to it. So if someone has photo ID from a different country then, and they've got the bank statement, then they're.
Absolutely.
They're
Mhm.
covered, okay.
Yeah, I know one thing that's come up before is somebody will just send a letter and say, okay, here's my letter that just arrived. And that's enough to prove that you live there.
Yeah.
Would staff feel comfortable if we just listed passport rather than it saying US in front?
I think valid passport is more important than it being a US passport, but that's another story, never mind.
Yeah, well, I know the Secretary of State,
Mhm.
with the new licenses that they're gonna be issuing, they're actually gonna be allowing people to present passports even if it's 2 years expired. So they have like very strict
Yeah.
regulations, and maybe again, to Andrew's point, this is something we can revisit more often. But that's very historical for that office to accept something that's actually expired. But I think it's because of the process of people are coming here and if they're seeking asylum, it can take them a while to like get a work permit and other things scheduled.
Right.
So, yeah, but to your point, George, yeah, we wanna make sure that things are valid.
I think as long as this is not an exhaustive list, if that becomes an issue, we may have to revisit.
Well, it says, but are not limited to, so
Okay.
then it would be up to the judgment of.
The staff at the circulation desk.
Okay, so we're still gonna leave the deletions as they are, is that what you're saying? Cause I have to fix this when we're finished.
Deletions,
The ones that are crossed off are not gonna be added
on
back
page
in.
136?
Yes,
Yeah.
uh-huh. Is that what you're saying?
Can I just ask that we at least put back in the canceled mail with current postmark? Just to be blunt, because that is not something a lot of people think of as a form of ID, but we've accepted it for as long as I've been here. And it's easily the most easy piece of identification you can get a hold of. All it takes is one stamp.
Sure. Those were removals based on the suggestion of the head of circulation because of what they tend to see at the desk,
Yeah.
but absolutely, that's something.
So we're adding back canceled mail with current postmark and passport or not?
We have passport, I was just
Oh, yeah, it is
I
up at
was
the top,
just
sorry.
asking if the staff would feel comfortable if it just said passport and didn't have the US in front of it.
I don't think that's a problem.
Okay,
Sure.
all right.
Okay, can we accept this as amended, or do we need it to go back another cycle?
I'm willing as amended, I think it's fine.
Alright, then I will move that the board approve policy 3013 library card as amended.
I'll second that.
Let's do a roll call.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Farcapisi,
Aye.
Flores,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Arnold absent, Cotsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Okay. 3020.
I had one. Just a correction, on section 5.03 on page 149, it says, the maximum number of items may have on reserve.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, I saw that too.
Yeah, the maximum number of items on reserve at any one time, so cross out may and have.
It used to say, the maximum number of items that a WNPL cardholder may have on reserve at any one time is 40. So I think what happened was they wanted to take out a WNPL cardholder, but then didn't read what the rest of the sentence said without it.
So
So
I think
what
that
is it your intention, what do you want that to say?
maximum number of items on reserve at any one time. Does that make sense?
Can we just put it back to the way that it was written before? Because that made more sense the way it was before, I think. We're not changing the meaning.
Well, it sounds redundant a little bit, WNPR card, yeah, cutting it.
So the maximum number of items,
On
One may
reserve.
have?
Does that make sense?
maximum number of items
On
that may be
reserve.
reserved at one time is
Limited.
40.
Is limited to 40.
Yeah.
That's a
Or
lot
may
of
not
items.
exceed 40.
Or the maximum number of items that patron may have.
Do we even need to change what was written there before is my question.
Well, it just sounded kind of wordy, the
Okay.
other one.
Maximum number of items a patron may have.
On
That makes
reserve, that's
sense.
good.
Yeah,
Is 40, yep.
Is 40, okay? Is that
Anything
it?
else on
I
this
have a
one?
couple other things.
Please.
First is in Article 1, there's no need for a section number because there's no sections. So I'm gonna take that out. The second one is Article 4 was eliminated, so then you can't go from 3 to 5. I'm gonna renumber all of those to reflect that it's Article 4 now. Let's see. So the one called residency, the second to the last sentence, WNPL reserves the right to reserve library materials for WNPL cardholders. We don't usually use the word our or, we don't personalize it. Are you good with that?
To prioritize our materials,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Is that okay?
Maybe WNPL materials?
That's what I
because-
said.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, I'm sorry, yep.
Or WNPL cardholders.
WNPL materials for WNPL
WNPL,
cardholders.
yeah.
Okay, I said library materials for WNPL cardholders. You want them both to say WNPL?
Yes,
Yes.
because this is about CCS.
Okay. All right, I think that's it for that one.
Okay.
I
Are we good as amended, or do we need to send this back?
think we're good as amended, it's not that drastic changes.
Then I would move that the board approve policy 3020 circulation as amended.
I second that.
Hmm? All right, let's do a roll call again.
Arnold absent. Flores.
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Sutton.
Aye.
Hamilton.
aye.
Farkapisi.
Aye.
Kotsinis.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And then we're at 3023 fines and fees.
The only issue I had with this is I think the justified margins are turned off on the last page, and I'm gonna turn them back on.
Okay.
I don't have any content issues, though.
So we just want to approve it as presented.
I move to accept policy 3023 as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Flores.
Aye.
Hamilton.
Aye.
Sutton.
Aye.
Farkapisi.
Aye.
Arnold absent. Beckwith.
Aye.
Kotsinis.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, and policy 4030.
Policy.
Yeah.
Any questions or concerns about this one?
There's
I'll
only
just-
one. there's only one. The fiscal year is 23-24, and I just had it as 22-23.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only, I think.
In 1.02?
Yes.
That was a good catch.
Which one?
Section
Yeah.
102,
Thank you,
the budget
Gina.
of Munson.
Okay.
There are also some punctuation things in the freedom request, freedom of information request, I'll just fix those.
Okay.
Alright, want to approve this as amended? Let's do that.
Yeah.
I move that policy 4030 FOIA be approved as amended.
I second.
And let's get a roll call.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Flores,
Okay.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Arnold absent, Kotsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Alright. Other potentially actionable items, anything for the agenda for either the regular meeting or the committee of the whole? That you do not already see there.
Just as a reminder for committee of the whole, we are doing the decennial committee. So that draft report is complete. Joe is gonna get a copy of that by tomorrow morning to, if you wanna look at it before we send it out to the committee.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. And I talked to George about this. We are going to skip policy work for August because we're meeting in a couple weeks. I'm going to be actually on vacation starting tomorrow afternoon up until that committee of the whole meeting. So trying to get everything done for that. So, and we did a lot of policy work this month. I think we have we say like 5 or 6 left
Yeah.
in board policy, and actually 2 personnel policies because we're going to have to tackle the vacation policy because of the some of the changes to the law that happened, because all unbenefited part-time staff will need to get some kind of paid time off on January 1st, so we need to reflect that in our policy.
There was one left too from the last batch.
Yes,
that
that's
didn't
gonna,
get
and that ties into the vacations that'll
Okay.
tie together nicely,
I couldn't remember which one it was, but.
yeah. Normal working
280.
hours.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to ask the board, if during August committee of the whole, since now we will be doing the decennial committee report, and maybe that's enough, we don't want to add anything to the agenda, but we could do the building tour August committee of the whole, because we might want to do it before it gets cold, so. But we don't have to, we can delay it.
We'd like to put it on there unless it's like 110 degrees and
All right.
let's postpone it, or it's raining,
Yeah,
Right, right.
either one.
With
The
a
weather's.
Weather
bad.
permitting.
Weather,
Weather
yes.
permitting.
weather permitting.
Okay.
We
that makes
have
sense.
no idea what the weather's gonna be. Snow,
Then on
Parasol.
August.
15 degrees.
flood.
Committee of the whole, right? Did you say?
Yeah.
Anything else? Alright. Public forum? Is there anyone here to speak, and does anyone want to speak?
I do want to make one comment, or two maybe. In general, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. We can go through the strategic plan, and I think Appendix A is useful if you guys decide to put something out. But what you see when you go through Appendix A is some pretty specific things and some pretty aspirational things. And that's all good, but it does mean that as I go through it, I'm assuming that the collection and understanding all the formats, what's changing dynamically in information, is a lot more work than flags and art. And I have lots of feelings on all those, so I don't mean to imply what those scale is, but you really do get a sense, some of these are really big, and some of them are big but not as big. So there's no way to deal with that other than you see it. And it is encouraging to see the staff in there, because again, as you said, there's a lot of tasks here. We feel more likely that it will move forward, see all the people involved. So I think that's good, I think you should share Appendix A. The format, yeah, is helpful, not that it'll ever answer all the questions. Thanks, guys.
I did, sorry.
Yes.
Are we all gonna go see Ryan eat ribs?
Ryan, are you gonna eat ribs personally?
I'm gonna have to again. I did it last year for the first
Oh,
time.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, darn.
So you know, as the board knows, you know, what was it, about 6 months ago or so, we lost one of our rib eating
Big
feathers, Eddie
eaters.
Christon, to Arlington Heights Memorial Library. So
Can we ask him to be volunteer here?
So it's more, yeah, so it's Mark, McDermott, and myself. Obviously, if a board member would like to enter, and I'd happily step away.
Thank you for raising your hand.
I'm having an itch. Although our board members' relatives, because Logan has competed twice for Public Works.
Yes, yeah, they're very, because Celeste was asking.
I mean, I
about
tried
this.
getting him out. I told him I'm a
Logan
volunteer.
tells me the trick is to drink the sauce.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, I skipped a little bit. I think I'll be better this year because I have like a year under my belt. You know, so we'll see. And Mark is a road meeting champion, a 2-time, maybe 3-time road meeting champion. So we've got
You gotta step it up.
we got a shot.
Yeah.
We got a shot.
Sadly, I will miss it.
But the the parade, a lot of things coming up. The parade, if you're available to march in the parade, family and friends can attend. So that will be fun. Knock on wood, we don't get rained out like we have. I feel like the past couple of years.
That's after committee of the whole, right?
It is. But
Yes.
just put it on your
Remind me,
calendar.
Committee of the whole.
Yeah. And then we've got the book sale that weekend. Library After Dark fundraising event. Tickets will be on sale soon. We're excited about that. So.
And then back to school events.
Next school event, yeah, it's not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
I invited all the elected officials.
Cool.
So I know Rita's supposed to be coming, Representative Mayfield, Senator Johnson, Congressman Brad Schneider, Representative Mason. And you know who I forgot? I forgot to I think Representative Diddich has
is-
Park City, so he
he does,
technically,
correct.
we'll see if he wants to come.
Part of Park City is in our.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll-
I forget he has Park City. He
Okay.
texted me asking me to,
Uh,
about Park City.
I think
so.
Diddich has most of it, if maybe Rita has some of it.
I don't know the
Uh,
new maps.
Yeah, but anyway.
All right. Anything else? Any other announcements? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Anyone opposed can stay here. All right, meeting's over at 7:57.
What do you want to do?